On Thanksgiving, my dad blocked me at the door and said, "We don't want to see your face." Behind him, I saw my brother grinning. I just smiled and left. That night, they were blowing up my phone. All right, Reddit. I bankrolled my family for 3 years. Then, when I realized they were using me, I stopped. Their response? They went nuclear, and I ended up dragging them to court. Grab your popcorn and enjoy the shit show. Name's Billy, 29 male. I design games for a mid-sized studio in Portland. Mobile puzzle games. The kind that keeps suburban moms playing through their lunch breaks. 78 grand a year. Enough for a one-bedroom, a 2008 Civic with a check engine light I've been ignoring for months, and apparently my entire family's lifestyle. My best friend Sam works at the same studio doing UI design. We share a cubicle wall thin enough that I can hear him rage quit Elden Ring during lunch breaks. Known him since college. He's got a temper that goes from 0 to 100 real fast, but it burns out just as quick. Petty in the best ways. Last month he noticed someone kept stealing his La Croix from the office fridge. So he bought a 12-pack, carefully injected hot sauce into one can with a syringe, and waited. The screaming from the break room was worth it. That's Sam. Growing up, we had nothing. Rental in Beaverton with a furnace that only heated 3 rooms. The landlord took weeks to fix anything. I spent most of high school doing homework in a winter jacket. Dad did warehouse work at a distribution center until he blew out his knee. After that, disability checks and daytime TV. Mom worked Target retail, early shifts. My younger brother Colby went to PCC for 1 semester, failed most classes because he spent more time at frat parties than lectures, then decided he was going to be an influencer. Posted gym selfies and motivational quotes to 47 followers. 6 were bots. 2 were me and Mom. The rest were probably bots too. I worked through high school and college. Graduated with 32 grand in debt. Got hired at the studio 6 months later. First paycheck, Mom cried. Second paycheck, Colby asked for concert money because his direct deposit was delayed. It wasn't. He'd blown it. That's how it started. Small asks that seemed reasonable. Can you cover groceries this week? Can you help with the electric bill? Colby needs new tires for job interviews. Mom's car registration is due. Just until we get caught up, they'd say. We'll pay you back. They never did. And I never asked because somewhere along the way, asking felt like being the bad guy in a story where I was supposed to be the hero. First year out of college, I helped with 100 here, 50 there. Emergency stuff. Colby's car needed an alternator and he had an interview. Real problem. Mom's water heater died in January and they couldn't afford a plumber. Also real. Dad's medication copay tripled because his insurance changed. These were actual problems. But somewhere around year 2, it became routine. Colby needed new shoes for job interviews that never materialized. Mom wanted to visit her sister in Sacramento for a weekend. Dad saw a 50-inch TV on sale at Costco, bought it on credit, then asked me to cover the first 3 payments because the interest rate was insane. I did, because that's what you do for family. The TV thing should have been my wake-up call. 3 payments turned into 6. Then Dad bought a soundbar to go with it. Asked me to cover that too because it was only another $40 a month. I paid for it. Then came the streaming subscriptions. Dad added them without asking, then hit me with a bill for $217. When I questioned it, he acted confused. Said he thought the streaming stuff was included in what I was already paying for. I paid for it anyway. The messed up part wasn't any single ask. It was how they made it normal. How, can you help with rent this month, became, we need the rent money by the 15th, became, why isn't the rent money here yet? How, thank you so much, became, about time, became nothing at all. By year 3, I wasn't helping anymore. I was paying for 3 adults who decided their financial planning could just be me. Every month like clockwork. $1,200 for their bills. $200 for whatever Colby needed. Another $100 for random stuff that somehow always came up right before my paycheck cleared. Over time, I became the fix for every problem. Internet bill overdue? Billy will handle it. Colby needs a cosigner? Billy has good credit. Want to upgrade phones? Just add them to Billy's plan. I set up auto pay for their utilities because Dad kept forgetting and they'd get shut off notices. Put Colby on my car insurance after his second accident because his rates were approaching $400 a month. Added them to Spotify, Netflix, Hulu, Disney+. My YouTube Premium became the house account. My Adobe subscription got shared to 3 computers. I told myself I was being a good son, a good brother, that this was what family meant, that making it meant helping people who couldn't help themselves. But really, I was just scared, terrified of being the bad guy, the son who made it out and forgot where he came from. So scared of that label that I'd have bankrupted myself to avoid it. By age 27, I was covering about $1,500 a month in their expenses. Base costs. Not counting the random Tuesday afternoon texts. I tracked it all in a spreadsheet. I color-coded everything. Made graphs. Watched the red sections get bigger and bigger. Told myself that tracking it meant I could manage it. I couldn't. Then last April, something changed. Colby asked to borrow my gaming laptop for a freelance gig. Logo work for a friend's startup. Just needed it for the weekend. The laptop was my baby. Custom built. Ryzen 9, RTX 3080, 32 gigs of RAM. 8 months of saving. This thing ran Unreal Engine 5 without breaking a sweat. I said yes. Set it up for him. Made him promise to be careful. He brought it back 3 weeks later. Screen cracked like a spider web. Spacebar stuck. USB port bent. Orange Cheeto dust ground into the keyboard. What happened? He shrugged. Accidents happen, man. How the heck did you crack the screen? I don't know. It was like that when I noticed. You've got insurance, right? This is a custom build. There's no insurance. Look, you make good money. You can replace it. The way he said it. Casual. Like $3,000 was nothing because I had a job and he didn't. I stared at him, standing in my apartment telling me to deal with his $3,000 mistake. Something just snapped. Get out. What? Get out of my apartment. He left. Called me a jerk. I didn't respond. Just closed the door and stared at my broken laptop. Sam's response when I sent him a photo, "You're still talking to that clown? Bro, come on." I stopped saying yes to every ask, started leaving texts on read for days, stopped asking how they were because it always became, "Since you asked, I need money for..." They noticed immediately. Mom called it being distant. Colby posted on Instagram about how success reveals your real friends. Posted it with him and Dad at some restaurant. Probably paid with money he'd borrowed from Mom. Money I'd given Mom for her phone bill. Then, in October, came the actual final breaking point. I'd been pulling 70-hour weeks on a game launch. Some match 3 puzzle thing with a seasonal Halloween update. The lead designer kept changing the ghost animations, and we were 3 days from deadline. I was surviving on cold brew from Dutch Bros and pure spite. Colby called at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. I answered on the 3rd ring. "What do you want?" "Hey, man." His voice had that careful sound, the one he used when he needed money. "I need a favor." I was staring at my monitor, at a ghost sprite that still didn't bounce right. "What kind of favor?" "So, funny story. My landlord's being a jerk about rent. Says I'm out by Friday if I don't pay. Thing is, I found a better place. Cheaper, nicer, way better location. But they need a cosigner, just for 6 months until I build my credit back up." Build his credit. The same credit he'd tanked by defaulting on a $1,000 couch from Rent-A-Center and ignoring a collections notice for a Planet Fitness membership he'd used twice. "How much do you owe your current landlord?" "That's not really relevant." "How much, Colby?" Silence. Then, 2 months, but I'm not paying that guy. He's a slumlord. There's mold in the bathroom. "So you're getting evicted." "I'm choosing to leave, after not paying rent for 2 months." "Look, are you going to help or not? Because I've got other options. I just thought family helped family, you know?" There it was. The ultimate guilt trip. The thing I'd been hearing my entire adult life every time someone needed money they had no intention of paying back. I looked at my screen, at the ghost that still didn't work, at my life turned into fixing other people's problems while mine piled up. "No," I said. The word just hung there. The first time I'd ever said it without adding anything else. "Seriously?" "Yes. Billy, I'm going to be homeless. You want that on your conscience? You're 26. You haven't paid rent in 2 months. That's what happens when you don't pay your bills. Call Dad, call Mom, call literally anyone else." "You're such a..." I hung up. He called back immediately. I declined. He called 3 more times. I sent them all to voicemail, turned my phone face down, went back to work on the ghost that still didn't bounce right. At 12:30 a.m., Mom texted, all caps, "Colby says you won't help him. He's going to be homeless. Call me." I didn't. Dad called at 7 the next morning. I was asleep. He left a voicemail. I listened to it over coffee. "Your brother needs you, and you're being selfish. This is what's wrong with your generation. You get a little money and forget about family. Call me back." I ignored it. Went to work. Told Sam everything over lunch at the burrito place. He didn't even look up from his food. "Congrats on finding your spine. Only took a decade. You think I'm doing the right thing? I think you should have done it years ago. But better late than never." He pointed at me with a fork. "You know what's going to happen now, right? They're going to lose their minds." "I know. And I'm done. I'm just done." He nodded. "Good. Stick to it. Because the second you give in, even a little bit, they'll know they can still manipulate you. This is all or nothing. It felt like ripping off duct tape that had been stuck to my skin so long, I'd forgotten what air felt like underneath. The week after I refused to co-sign Colby's lease, things got quiet. Sunday morning, Sam showed up with Thai food and 2 whiteboards. We're doing this properly. You're a game designer. Design your exit strategy like a level. We mapped it out. Step 1. Remove them from everything. We counted 17 different connections. Phone plan, streaming services, car insurance, credit card authorized users, utilities autopay. Step 2. Document everything. Step 3. Inform them in person at Thanksgiving. Face to face. Calm. Clear. Sam drew a skull and crossbones. This is where your mom cries and your dad yells and Colby posts about fake people on Instagram. Probably. And you're doing this right before Thanksgiving. Perfect time. They'll expect me to show up with a pie and pretend everything's fine. Sam nodded, grinned. This is the most backbone thing I've ever seen you do. Monday morning, I started cutting threads. I started Monday at lunch. Sat in my Civic in the parking lot eating a sad sandwich. Called the bank. On hold for 12 minutes. I need to remove authorized users from my credit card and issue a new number. Names? Gerald Harrison, Nadine Harrison. Typing sounds. Done. New card arrives in 7 to 10 days. Expedite it. For a fee. Do it. The fee was $35. Worth every penny. The rep asked if there was suspected fraud. I said no. Just removing access. She didn't push. The new card number meant any saved payment methods they had would bounce. Any subscriptions they'd set up without asking. Any online shopping they'd done using my card as backup. All dead. First thread cut. Phone plan. Next. Logged into Verizon. 3 lines under my name. Colby's line alone was racking up 200 minutes of calls per month. He was using my unlimited plan like it was his personal hotline. Mom's line had 400 texts a week. Dad had international calling enabled somehow. I'd been paying for that feature for 8 months without knowing. Another $12 monthly. Clicked remove line 3 times. Streaming services. Changed every password. Logged out all devices. Netflix. Hulu. Disney Plus. HBO Max. Spotify. YouTube Premium. Car insurance required a call. Remove Colby Harrison from my policy. Is he aware? No. Pause. He'll need his own coverage to drive legally. Colby problem. She laughed. Fair enough. Done. My rate dropped $92 a month immediately. Just like that, $904 a year I'd been bleeding. The rep asked if I wanted to file for a refund on the unused portion of his premium. I said yes. Check would arrive in 3 weeks. Another $140. Last, utilities. Couldn't cancel services. Too aggressive. Just removed my payment method. Let the bills arrive at their address. 3 hours total. My accounts were clean. Just my name. My money. Sam swung by at 6. I showed him the confirmation emails. How do you feel? Lighter. Are you still telling them on Thanksgiving? They'll figure it out first, but I want to see their faces when I confirm it was on purpose. I love it. Call me after. Thanks. Want me there for backup? Nah, this one's mine. But I appreciated the offer. That's the thing about Sam. He'd show up to a fight he had nothing to do with just because you were his friend. Tuesday morning. Mom called at 7 a.m. I let it ring. Voicemail. Something's wrong with my phone. Can you call back? I didn't. Dad texted at 10 o'clock. The internet's out. Did the bill not get paid? I waited until lunch. Check your email. He called immediately. What do you mean? The bill. Should be in your inbox. Set up autopay. Why would I set up autopay? It comes out of your account. Not anymore. Changed it last week. Why without telling us? Because I'm done paying for it. Just turn it back on and we'll talk later. No, there's nothing to talk about. I hung up. Mom called crying. Why are you doing this? We're your family. And I'm not your bank. You're being cruel. I hung up. Colby called. I ignored it. He left a voicemail yelling. I deleted it. Wednesday, Dad called from a different number. Fix this before tomorrow. We're hosting. You're embarrassing us. Call the provider. Set up your own account. We don't have money for that. Should have thought of that before spending $43,000 of mine. Pause. What are you talking about? I have spreadsheets. Want to discuss it at dinner? He hung up. I bought a pie that afternoon. Pumpkin from that bakery on Division. Sam texted at 10 p.m. You ready? As I'll ever be. Thanksgiving Day. I showed up at 3 p.m. sharp. Parked on the street because Colby's car was blocking the driveway like always. Grabbed the pie from the passenger seat. Still warm. Adjusted my jacket. Took a breath. The house smelled like turkey and dysfunction. I could smell it from the porch. Walked in without knocking. Living room full of relatives. Aunt Nadine holding court on the couch. Uncle Rob watching football with the sound off. Couple cousins I'd seen maybe twice in my life scrolling their phones. Colby was on the recliner, the one Dad bought on credit, scrolling Instagram. Didn't even look up when I walked in. Mom came out of the kitchen wiping her hands on a towel. Saw me. Her face did this thing where it tried to smile and scowl at the same time. Billy, you made it. Said I would. The room went quiet. Uncle Rob turned the volume down on the TV. Aunt Nadine stopped mid-sentence. Dad appeared from the hallway. His face was already red, already angry. This was going to be good. Kitchen, he said. Not a request. Now. I set the pie on the coffee table. Followed him. Mom came too, still holding that dish towel like it was a security blanket. Colby stayed on the couch, but I could see him watching through the doorway. Dad closed the kitchen door. Stood in front of it like he was blocking my escape. You're turning everything back on. Right now. I leaned against the counter. Crossed my arms. No. This is not a negotiation. You're right. It's not. It's a statement. I'm done paying your bills. That's it. Mom jumped in. We can't afford to set up new accounts. We're already behind on everything because you cut us off without warning. I cut you off because you've spent 3 years bleeding me dry. And you're not behind on bills because I stopped paying. You're behind because you never learned to budget. That's what family does. No, that's what ATMs do. Family doesn't treat you like a solution to all their problems. Colby appeared in the doorway. You talking about me? Yeah, I am. That laptop thing was an accident. You ate Cheetos over a $3,000 custom build and cracked the screen. That's not an accident. And you know what really got me? You didn't even apologize. You just told me to deal with it because I make good money. Oh, here we go. Rich boy with his fancy laptop and his fancy job looking down on everyone. Rich? I laughed. Pulled out my phone, opened my banking app and turned it around. Look at my savings account, Colby. Go ahead. Look at it. $4,100. That's it. That's everything I have after 3 years of working. You know why? Because I've been funding your life every single month for 3 years while you posted gym selfies. You want to call me rich? This is what rich looks like when it's been redistributed to 3 adults who can't balance a checkbook. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Rich? Colby, I've been broke for 3 years because I've been paying for your life. You're 26. You live at home. You have no job. The only thing you've done right in the past 5 years is make me realize I'm an idiot for helping you. His face went red. You think you're so much better? I think I'm tired of paying for your existence. I headed for the door. Mom blocked my way. Her eyes were wet. Voice shaking. If you leave now, you're not welcome back. I stopped. Looked at her. 56 years old. Worked retail her entire adult life. Raised 2 kids in a house that fell apart every winter. Deserved better than the hand she'd been dealt. I'd always thought that. Always felt sorry for her. But she'd also spent the last decade treating me like a paycheck instead of a son. Never once asking how I was doing without following it up with asking for money. Okay, I said. Just that one word. Her face changed. Like she'd expected me to back down. To apologize. To fix it like I always fixed everything. To be the good son and swallow my feelings and keep the peace and pretend everything was fine. Okay? She repeated. Voice small. Yeah, okay. I'm not welcome back. Got it. I looked at Dad. At Colby, standing in the doorway. Just so we're clear, this wasn't an accident. I didn't forget to pay bills. I deliberately cut you off. Changed every password. Removed you from every account. Canceled every automatic payment. I did it on purpose because I'm done. You've had 3 years of my money. You're not getting another dollar. Silence. The kind where you can hear the house settling. The TV in the other room. Aunt Nadine whispering to Uncle Rob. Then never show us your face again, Dad said. Voice tight. Sure, I won't. I walked past Mom. She didn't try to stop me this time. Walked through the living room. Everyone staring. Got to the door. Grabbed my pie off the coffee table. Nobody had touched it. Leaving already? Aunt Nadine asked. Fake concern. Real nosiness. Yeah. Forgot I have plans with people who don't treat me like a bank. Walked out. Got in my Civic. Pie on the passenger seat still warm. Drove straight to Sam's place. He answered the door in sweatpants and a hoodie, holding a drink. Looked at me. At the pie. How'd it go? I'm officially disowned. The grin that spread across his face was huge. Heck yeah. Get in here. I made wings. We spent Thanksgiving watching the Lions get destroyed and eating wings that were too hot and laughing. Around 8, my phone started going off. Text after text. Unknown numbers. Relatives I barely knew suddenly very concerned about family unity. I ignored all of it. Didn't feel guilty, didn't feel sad, just felt free. It was the best Thanksgiving I'd had in a decade. The week after Thanksgiving was quiet. Too quiet. Like standing in the eye of a storm. Sam noticed. They're up to something. He was right. The previous year, Colby had borrowed my car for a weekend. Claimed he needed it for job interviews. I'd left my wallet in the console. When he returned it, my debit card was still there. But Colby had 6 hours alone with my wallet. 6 hours to memorize the 16 digits and 3-digit security code. 6 hours to write down my PIN after watching me punch it in dozens of times over the years. I just hadn't realized it until it was too late. Tuesday came. Fraud alert while I was debugging at work. Someone tried using my canceled card. I called the bank. Multiple declined attempts. Gas station, grocery store, gaming store. All in Beaverton, where my parents lived. Then I checked my actual account. $4,000 yesterday. Negative 83 today. My stomach dropped. 6 withdrawals over 2 days. All from Beaverton ATMs. All maxing daily limits. Someone had my PIN. I pulled up the transaction history. The first withdrawal happened Sunday morning. $300. The daily ATM limit for my account was $700. Someone tested it first. Then came back. Sunday afternoon. $700. Monday morning. $700. And it went on. The last withdrawal before the account went negative. $783. Every penny I had. The pieces clicked together. Colby borrowing my car. My wallet in the console. 6 hours last year. I drove straight to the police station. The lobby smelled like industrial cleaner and old coffee. Officer Calder took my statement. When I mentioned Colby's name, he stopped writing. Your brother? Yeah. You sure about this? Family theft cases tear people apart. If we determine he did this, he faces real charges. Jail time, criminal record. Good. The word came out flat. Cold. Something in his expression shifted. All right, let's get this filed. The report took 40 minutes. Calder asked for dates, amounts, locations. I gave him everything. He asked if there were any other financial transactions between us. I told him about the 3 years of payments. He wrote it down, asked if I had documentation. I pulled up the spreadsheet on my phone. $43,000 in 3 years. His eyebrows went up. That's a lot of money. Yeah. And now he's stolen more. Yeah. I left with a case number. Sam called while I was parking. Where are you? Just left the police station, I told him. By the end, he was silent for 5 seconds. Then, I'm coming over. He showed up with pizza. $4,000. After everything you already gave them. Yep. I hope Colby goes to jail. Me too. What about rent? Rent was due in 9 days. I had negative $83 and no savings left after 3 years of bleeding money to my family. I'll figure it out. Sam pulled out his phone, started tapping. Don't. Too late. My phone buzzed. $800. Memo. Rent money, not a loan. Shut up. Something in my chest cracked open. Thanks, man. Don't mention it. Seriously. Around midnight, Mom called from an unknown number. Shaky. Scared. The police came today. They said Colby's being investigated. What did you do? I filed a report. You called the police on your brother? Your son stole $4,000 from me. This is going to ruin his life. He ruined mine first. Repeatedly. She hung up. I blocked the number. The detective called 3 days later. Name was Detective Barnes. Aide he'd been doing financial crimes for 12 years. Seen everything. We pulled ATM footage from all 6 locations, he said. Same person at each machine. Your brother owns a blue Honda Accord, correct? Yeah. We have clear facial recognition matches. And we have your card in his hand visible. This is pretty open and shut. They had ATM footage. Sent me a photo. Colby. My card in his hand. Looking directly at the camera. That's my brother. They interviewed him. He denied it. Then changed his story when shown the footage. Said I'd given permission. That it was a loan. The loan defense doesn't work when you drain someone's account without discussion, Barnes said. If you'd agreed to loan him money, there'd be texts, calls, something. But you filed a theft report, and his story keeps changing. Parents called from different numbers. Left voicemails about destroying the family. Colby sent texts from his girlfriend's phone. I forwarded everything to the detective and blocked them all. The bank refunded my account 12 days later. $4,000 plus fees. I paid Sam back immediately. Paid rent. My apartment was quiet. Colby took a plea deal. Guilty to theft. 2 years probation. $4,000 in restitution plus fees. Community service. No jail time. Sam wasn't impressed. That's it? Better than nothing. Part of me wanted worse. but mostly I was relieved it was over. Colby posted on social media. Long victim post about family betrayal. Relatives commented calling him brave. Sam wanted to respond with receipts. I told him to let it go. Colby's plea deal should have been the end. But my family doesn't do closure. They do resentment. A week after sentencing, I got a bill in the mail. From my parents. Handwritten envelope. Inside. Notebook paper with an itemized list. Expenses for Colby's situation. $9,000. Bail contribution. Legal consultation fees. Living expenses while he couldn't work. Colby's car insurance they'd temporarily covered. Bottom. Mom's handwriting. We know you have the means. I sent Sam a photo. He called immediately. They're billing you for bailing out the guy who robbed you? Looks like it. He showed up with pizza and chaos in his eyes. We're responding. He wrote a bill. His handwriting angry and messy. Bill for services rendered. Internet $3,840. Phone $4,680. Utilities $8,200. Car insurance $2,400. Random emergencies $24,880. Total $43,000. Payment due immediately. I stared. You're not sending that. Watch me. He photographed it. Sent it to Dad with, seems like we're tallying debts. Billy's total, $43,000. Payment plans available. Dad called 30 seconds later. Sam answered on speaker. Who is this? Sam, Billy's friend. Stay out of this. Can't. When your family drains my best friend then demands more, that's my business. Here's how this works. Tear up that bill. Leave Billy alone. Or I'm posting every receipt showing what you people really are. You're threatening me? I'm making a promise. Dad hung up. Sam grinned. Too much? Probably. The call stopped after that. The texts stopped. Whatever spell my parents had been under, the one where they genuinely believed they were victims, finally broke. Or maybe they just realized they weren't getting money out of me anymore and moved on to easier targets. Either way, too quiet, according to Sam. They're not fighting back. That's weird. Maybe they're done. Nobody's that done. But weeks passed, and nothing happened. January turned into February. Work got busy with a new project. The studio launched the game I'd been debugging for months. It did okay. Enough that my boss gave me a small bonus. $2,000. I put it straight into savings where it sat next to the refunded $4,000, like proof that starting over was possible. Sam and I started working on a side project in our free time. An indie game. Something weird and small that probably wouldn't make money, but felt good to build. Life got normal. Boring even. I paid my bills on time, went to work, hung out with Sam, dated someone I met through a work friend for a few weeks before we mutually agreed we weren't compatible. It was fine. Everything was fine. And quiet. 3 months later, Colby violated probation, missed community service, got picked up on a warrant during a traffic stop, suspended license, no insurance. The violation hearing was quick. The judge wasn't sympathetic. Colby's public defender tried the depression angle. The judge gave him 60 days in county plus extended probation. Mom and Dad didn't show. I watched from the back with Sam. Colby's face stayed blank when they took him out. Outside, Sam asked how I felt. Done, I said, and meant it. We went to lunch, talked about the game we were building, about work, about anything else. My phone stayed quiet. It was like Colby had just vanished and everyone decided to pretend he'd never existed. Maybe that's what happens when the money runs out. Colby served 42 days of his 60-day sentence. Got out early for good behavior, which was hilarious, considering good behavior wasn't his strong suit. The detective sent me an email with the release date and a reminder that Colby's probation was extended and restitution payments would start coming. The first payment hit my account in May, $50. Automated withdrawal from Colby's account to mine, court-ordered. I stared at the notification for a minute, not because I needed the money, but because it was proof that consequences existed even in a family that spent decades pretending they didn't. Sam's response when I told him, wait, they're making him pay you back? Monthly payments, court-ordered. How much total? $4,000 plus fees and interest. Comes out to about $4,800. At $50 a month, that's going to take him years. 8 years if he doesn't miss any payments. Sam started laughing, full howling. That's actually beautiful. He has to see your name on his bank statement every single month for almost a decade. That's one way to look at it. The second payment came in June. $50 again. Like clockwork. I stopped checking after that. Just let them pile up. Set up the account to automatically move the restitution payments into a separate savings account I labeled Therapy Fund as a joke. Life kept moving. The indie game we'd been building actually got some traction. Not huge, but a small gaming blog reviewed it and called it surprisingly thoughtful. We made about 3 grand in the first month. Split it 50-50. I put mine into savings. Sam bought a new graphics tablet and immediately spilled coffee on it. Work was good. Studio promoted me to senior designer. Small raise, better projects, actual creative input instead of just fixing bugs. I moved into a nicer apartment, 2 bedrooms instead of one, got furniture that wasn't from college, started feeling like an actual adult. The studio hired a new producer named Harper. We started getting lunch together, then coffee after work. Then she came over to playtest the indie game. Had good notes. We added her to the project. 3 months later, she asked if I wanted dinner somewhere that wasn't the burrito place next to the office. I said yes. Sam's response: finally. Thought you'd given up on human connection. Was taking a break. You were hiding. Harper met Sam a week in. They sized each other up like wolves. Then Sam said something sarcastic about game design. Harper fired back. They've been friends since. Weekly game nights. The three of us eating too much pizza and arguing about mechanics. It felt like building something. My actual family stayed gone. No calls, no texts, no holiday cards. Colby kept making payments. $50 every month like clockwork. I heard through someone that he was working at a warehouse, living in a studio apartment, keeping his head down. The kicker? Mom and Dad got divorced 6 months after Colby's sentencing. Found out through Facebook. Aunt Nadine posted something vague about family changes. The house got sold. Dad moved to Vancouver. Mom moved in with a work friend. I felt like hearing about strangers having a rough time. The indie game ended up doing better than expected. Made about 3 grand the first month, then steady sales throughout the year. By month 12, we'd cleared about 35,000 total. The money wasn't life-changing, but it was proof that we could build something people wanted. Sam and I started talking seriously about going full indie, leaving the studio, building our own company. Harper was in immediately, had been waiting for us to ask apparently. We spent weekends in my apartment mapping out everything, revenue projections based on our current success, game concepts we'd been sitting on for years, what we'd build if we could build anything. Harper had industry connections who could help with marketing. Sam had the design skills and portfolio. I had the technical knowledge and the savings to keep us afloat for at least 6 months, maybe a year if we were careful. It felt real, like something that could actually happen, like we were on the edge of something good. On the anniversary of Colby's sentencing, Sam showed up at my place with drinks. We're celebrating, he said, already opening it. Harper came through the door behind him carrying Chinese food. We're quitting the studio. We're doing this, the company, our games, everything. I stared at them. Seriously? Seriously, Sam said. We've been talking. The indie game's doing well. We have momentum. We have savings. And honestly, we're never going to get a better shot than right now. Harper set the food down. We wanted to wait until you were ready. But seeing you this past year, watching you rebuild after everything they put you through, that's the kind of determination we need in a business partner. So what do you say? What did I say? I said yes. Obviously. We spent that night planning. We set a date to quit. 3 months. Gave ourselves time to tie up loose ends, save more money, and finalize our first game concept. It felt like building something from scratch with people who chose to be there. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Email notification, payment received, $50, Colby's monthly reminder. I showed it to Sam. He raised his glass. To Colby Harrison, who's paying you back for the next 7 years and probably thinks about you every single month when he sees that transaction. May it haunt him forever. We laughed and drank, made plans until 3 a.m. Harper fell asleep on my couch, laptop still open with spreadsheets. Sam crashed in the spare room. I stayed up a little longer, looking at my bank account on my phone. At the savings that had been growing steadily, my phone lit up. Text from an unknown number. This is Colby. I know I don't deserve a response. Not asking for forgiveness. Just wanted you to know I'm sorry for everything. I was a terrible person. Hope you're doing okay. I read it 3 times, looking for the angle. Didn't matter. I didn't respond. Set my phone face down. Went to bed. I blocked that number. Sometimes the hardest thing you'll do is walk away from people who taught you to stay, who made love feel like a transaction. I'm living proof that cutting toxic people off, even family, isn't cruel. It's refusing to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.